Last time on Building a Main, we explored some new PVM content in ED3, we got a couple of 99s, and we started preparing for a rune crafting grind in the near future. In this episode, we're kicking things off, continuing our PVM journey with Arraxor. But first, we've got a few odds and ends to tidy up.
Okay, so you can probably tell I was halfway through a quest while doing this, or when this started. But apparently the Evil Bloodwood tree is one of the 3 superior special wieldy events that give the very hard or very wild rewards. So I thought best to come do it, and it also gives a bunch of woodcutting XP, I think, so I'm not going to turn that down. And we got a Zemrak statuette, more Dragon Rider boots, and I think, yeah, that was it. Okay, a little bit of gold from that. Well, I say a little bit. This statuette sells for like 500k. Each of these salvages 100k out. That was like 900k for 5 minutes of work. And a bunch of woodcutting XP. I didn't actually see how much, but... Okay, so the quest I was doing was the Fremennik Isles, which gives us access to the Fremennik Isles of Yatizo and Natisnut. And the reason I did that quest is because like 3 of the penguins this week are up here. So I needed to get it done to do our double penguin run. That gets us to 85 rune crafting. So every rune crafting level we get gives us a chance to make more blood runes per inventory. At level 90 rune crafting, we get access to the massive pouch, which holds 18 essence, I believe, which if we replace the small pouch in our inventory with it, increases our carried essences per run by 15. We're currently carrying 74, something like that. So it's about a 20% increase in the amount of essence we can carry, which is just a 20% increase in profit, XP, and everything.
I also finally got around to setting up player-owned ports. There's not really going to be much content on this in this series because by the time the series is done, we won't have made much progress. It takes months to get anywhere with this thing. But I can't deny there are a few things from ports that do make it worth keeping up with. So, as an update on our AFK grind, it is currently fishing. We finished up archaeology last episode, so we're now on to fishing. For that, we've perked out our fishing rodomatic with Hone 6 Furnace 2 and Impsold 3 Fortune 2. The plan is to just take a bunch of fishing rodomatics and a ton of fishing urns, as well as porters, to the swarm fishing location in the deep sea fishing hub, and just AFK there, all the way to 99. It'll get us a bunch of raw fish to sell, which is going to be a bunch of money, but the main reason we're doing it there is because it is criminally AFK.
Okay, so now we've bought all the Slayer Helm upgrades. Our next set of Slayer points are going to be going into putting stuff on our tool belt. I don't know if we actually need the gold accumulator for this, but we'll get one eventually. For now, I'm going to be grabbing the Bone Crusher one. Then I'll be the Charming Imp, Seedside, and Herbicide. Okay, this is a tough choice for the Slayer task. I want a Node on Dragonkin task at some point in the future because I want to have it when I go and learn Karapak. It'll make the damage checks easier, all that good stuff. If I take it, then I have to stop Slayer point farming for a while, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Slayer point farming isn't actually progressing me towards my goals. It's kind of me procrastinating from doing quests because doing quests without a goal to unlock something doesn't seem to gel with me, so I'm trying to work on a way to motivate myself. I'm going to take the Dragonkin task. It'll stop me Slayer point farming, and then I'll maybe actually get on with some quests, and when we want to learn Karapak, it's there ready to go.
Before we continue, I want to have a quick chat about setting goals in RuneScape. Goals are great because they give you something to work towards. But if you ever feel like you're not enjoying working towards a certain goal and you would rather be doing something else in the game, do what you enjoy in the game. At this point in the series, I was having a slight bit of burnout because I was making really fast progress through quests and I was just starting to get burnout of doing them. If it wasn't for the series, what I would have done here is just taken a bit of a break, gone and done some Slayer, gone and done some PVM, and come back to the quest cape later when I was more refreshed. So that's the advice I'm going to give you guys. Focus on what you enjoy, not on some arbitrary goal. Unless arbitrary goals are what you enjoy, in which case, go for it. But ultimately, games are for fun, so make sure you're having fun. On the note of having some fun, we headed over to Arraxor for our Reaper for the day. Now, Arrax is a two-part boss fight. There's 3 phases with the male spider, Arraxor. The first of these phases is you choosing which of the 2 available paths of the current rotation to go down. In this case, we're going down path 2, which is the acid pool path. And basically, you just try to DPS him down while waiting for the web to burn. He does a mechanic every 5 auto attacks, and this is pretty crucial because one of those mechanics is the web shield, which will reflect all damage you deal to Arraxor back at you, plus the enrage percentage. So you gotta make sure you don't throw a threshold into that, or you will very quickly faceplant. As for the acid pool itself, it's basically the same as the first phase, same mechanics. You just need to stand Arraxor in the acid pool long enough to get over 50% acidity, and then have him dump it at the wall at the end so that it falls over and you can move into the third phase. In the third phase, you will then deal with any remaining mechanic from the second phase. In this case, any leftover acidity in the pool will spawn as little volatile spiderlings. And you also have to deal with the mechanic from the other path. In this case, it's path 2-3, so the third path, which we didn't go down, has its mechanic active in the third phase. So occasionally the room will go dark and there'll be a little light spot. Standing in the light spot, you don't take damage. Path 2-3 is generally seen as the easiest and safest path combo, so that's why we took the opportunity to learn Arrax during this one. Once you go into phase 4, Arraxi comes down and eats her mate, which is apparently not uncommon for spiders. And then she will be empowered by any remaining mechanics from the other phases. If there was any acid left in the acid pool, she would get empowered, she can summon darkness, and if path 1 is open, she can summon any remaining minions. Otherwise, her main mechanic is just prayer flicking. She swaps her attack based on what you're praying, so every couple attacks you have to swap between range and magic. As she gets lower, she drains your adrenaline, so you want an adrenaline potion to get back up to your thresholds. She also summons a core, but if you have even a couple thresholds available or a dark bow spec, you probably won't have to deal with that.
The little shadow thing jumping around, not a problem. Okay, for that being the first kill, that was way easier than I was expecting. So, actually, decent loot. We can turn the overloads into normal ones. Save a bit of time and money. Let's get us 2 more kills. So, the enrage mechanic is Arraxor's thing. Now we've killed it once, its damage goes up by 20%, and we have to do it again. And it goes up again, and again, and again, and it caps at 300% enrage. It starts at 0 and goes all the way up to 300%. I don't know if you actually get better drops at Arraxor high enrage, or if it's just like a daily kill limit. Basically, at midnight every night, Arraxor's enrage resets. So, loot from Arraxor. Obviously, you've got the noxious weapons. Those are a big thing to be going for. The way those work is you have a chance to drop a hilt, and that chance is doubled for the style Arraxor is using. We are forcing it to be a mage, so the eye, which makes the staff, has twice the drop rate of the fang for the scythe, or the web for the bow. As for the paths, the way those interact with loot is there are 3 parts to the leg. There are 3 parts to the spider leg. 1 part comes from doing path 1, 1 part comes from doing path 2, and 1 part comes from doing path 3. You have to do all 3 paths of Arraxor to get a full leg. You can't trade individual pieces, you need to make the full leg before you can trade them. As such, you need to be able to do Arraxor in basically any path. You have to be able to do third path. You have to be able to do first path, even though everyone hates the minions because the mirrorback minion is a nightmare. Yep, you have a 1 in 40 chance to get a leg piece based on the path you did. So we're currently killing him with a 1 in 40 chance of getting the spider leg middle. As for what happens, well, you can either make the spider leg and just sell it. I think it's about 250 mil just for the leg. That'll be bought by people that have gotten like a fang drop or an eye drop, and they got lucky and got the drop before they got enough legs. And the hilts, as people call them, even though they're the offensive part of the thing, they're not the part you hold. The hilts, so the eye, the fang, the web, those aren't tradable, but you can obviously either buy or make a leg, turn it into a noxious weapon, and make your money that way. Okay, the price of blood runes is actually just skyrocketing again for some reason. I'm not sure if it's like a weekend thing or what, but we're over 2,300 gold each rune now. I need to get 90 rune crafting and start training it because that's so much money. So I'm gonna combine the rune crafting goal with the questing goal. This guy's end game is a quest that gives over 1,000,000 XP in a skill. Normally, you use that in something like herb lore, construction, prayer, something expensive. Well, if I throw it into rune crafting, I can get 90 rune crafting. Maybe today. Might not be able to do the entire questline today. But I can just get 90 rune crafting off that. And if I get 90 rune crafting off that, I can make a ton of money from training to 99 off blood runes. I found my motivation. And that's the three brothers brought back to their village for Tai Boy One Eye Trio. And that is Barbarian Training complete, which I half started earlier. Yeah. You need to complete Tai Boy One Eye Trio to finish it, so I never bothered finishing it till now. But it's also a requirement for the next quest on our list, which is a Hero's Welcome. And I didn't realize this quest gave 5% more runes when rune crafting, which is just another buff to add to the pile of things we're stacking up blood runes. And that is one of a kind complete. Unfortunately, like 170k of this XP is actually kind of useless because we already have 99 magic and summoning. But the Dragon Rider amulet is not useless. It has reasonable stats and it buffs the damage done by Dragon Breath by 10%. So I'm assuming it's just used as a swap if it is used in higher end PVM, but if you're maging, it's better than a lot of amulets. And that is Kindred Spirits complete, which unlocks another Barrow's Brother. So we now have all 8 Barrow's Brothers unlocked. Linza's kind of an annoying one because her whole shtick is taking less damage, so she ends up taking quite a while to kill in runs. So it's going to make Barrows a bit more annoying. I don't know if you actually have to kill all 8 brothers and sister for Reapers now. And that is the Death of Chivalry complete. So this quest doesn't really reward much in the way of useful things to us at this point. It's supposed to be a very early game quest. Most of it's not that useful to us. However, a requirement for Sliske's endgame it is. And there is one more direct requirement left for Sliske's endgame. That is Nomad's Elegy. However, that quest has a barrel of requirements itself. So working through those is our next objective. So one of the requirements for Nomad's Elegy is to do the entire Void Knight quest series. So we're going to be starting that off with Quiet Before the Swarm. Pests are escaping. And a Void Dance is complete. And that is the Void Stares Back complete. And the Void Trilogy complete. For some reason, I thought the Void quest series was way longer than just 3 quests. I'm assuming I bundled all the Temple Knight stuff in with it in my memory. But yeah, it's just 3 reasonably decent quests. There's nothing offensive here. It's actually quite enjoyable to play these. Okay, we just got the 100% favor with Taiboy One Eye for my Arm's Big Adventure and the medium achievement. Unfortunately, no Gout Tuber doing it on this account. I got like 2 or 3 when I did it on my Iron Man, so I guess I'm gonna have to pay 5 mil to get that achievement done when I come around to do the achievement diaries, because I'm not gonna sit here for another 2 hours hoping it drops. And that is My Arm's Big Adventure complete, which gives us all the requirements to finish off the Cave Goblin storyline, so we're gonna work on that next. And that is Chosen Commander complete, which just leaves the Mighty Fool. And that is Mighty Fool complete, and the Cave Goblin storyline wrapped up. So I believe now we have all the requirements for Nomad's Elegy apart from Nomad's Requiem. So it's time to have a couple bouts with Nomad. Now we're past 350 quest points. We can come and claim another dice from me and get ourselves 2.5k and a Fury Ornament kit, which is a fortunate component. Okay, I missed one quest before we start tackling Nomad, and that is Heart of Stone. And that is Heart of Stone complete, so now we can just go deal with Nomad. Well, this fight has completely lost all of its teeth. I guess 50k health just isn't that much anymore. And that's Nomad's Requiem complete. The first time I did this quest, it was with ruby bolts and a yak full of food. So I was kind of expecting it to have survived a little better than that. I think I did it with really bad gear on my Iron Man, so I probably used a fair bit of food there. But having a tier 90 weapon, this guy just fell over. That was... I know some quests added some scaling based on your level, but it would be nice if, like, based on your gear or something, they added some scaling to some of these quests. That was unfortunate. And anticlimactic, but there's 99 herb lore. This is big in two ways. First of all, it lets us get the herb lore cape, which actually has a useful perk, which we'll go over in a second when we go and pick it up. But it's also the level where a pulse core boost gets you in range of an Elder Overload. And that is the strongest overload, and compared to a regular overload, it gives 4 more levels. And as we've discussed before, going from overload to supreme and getting the 2 levels there, almost a 2% accuracy increase. Well, it's the same thing going from a supreme to an elder. You get another 2 levels, almost 2% accuracy increase. So we're going to go pick up that recipe. All my bonus XP is now going into Herblore at this point, and I'm going to start using my proteins to train it. The reason I'm doing that is simply to make it a bit less of a hassle to make Elder Overloads, because having to lobby every 40 seconds or so to keep the buff, kind of annoying. But if we view recipes here, we should just be able to pick it up. I don't think you need to. You don't need to go and find it in Daemonheim. So there we go. We can now make Elder Overloads once we get a Pulse Core boost. And there we go, the Herblore Cape. When you use it, it instantly cleans all grimy herbs in your inventory for no experience. Now that's super useful because some herbs are quite a bit cheaper to buy grimy and clean yourself, but doing it manually takes a long time. So you can just make a preset, equip the Herblore Cape, and just one to take out your preset, one to use the cape, open the bank, one preset, one cape, and you can clean herbs super fast. There's probably some ways to make some pretty decent money off of doing that. Okay, it's time to do our monthly oyster. Looks like we got a fortunate component out of the first one. Okay, using one of our monthly tokens, we can check another oyster. Not as good this time. Okay, back to questing, and we're starting Nomad's Elegy. And that is Nomad's Elegy complete. That boss fight was not as hard as I remember. I'm assuming doing it with a Sun Spear was significantly longer because of the accuracy. But this actually gives us a useful invention item called the Urn Enhancer, which increases the amount of XP gained from urns from 20% to 25%. So you get a little boost when training. That will actually be very handy for our fishing. And it's time for Sliske's endgame. I'm not looking forward to doing this maze again. I'll admit that much. Okay, time to get the labyrinth done. I've only actually done this once before. I didn't do this on my first account. Only on my Iron Man. So Yeah, let's see if I actually remember any of it or if I've blocked it all out entirely. So it's becoming really quickly apparent why I just don't remember anything from the previous time I did this maze. The idea is solid. It's supposed to be a puzzle-filled maze where completing puzzles opens the correct path for you. But the ratio of just running to puzzles is so off that I've just been running for about 10, 12, between 10 and 15 minutes at this point, I think, since the last time I did a puzzle room. Okay, that is the first maze complete. And the reward? Another maze. Okay, I sound exasperated, but honestly, the second maze is a lot shorter if you just follow the main path than the first one, so this shouldn't be too bad. I don't know why they felt the need to put two in. I know they kind of like wanted to sprinkle out story beats, but there's like so many optional places you have to go to get all the story beats that I feel like even if you were looking for them, you'd probably end up missing them. Okay, and this is the end of the second maze. I don't think we made too bad time, but we did like 5 puzzles total. So, yeah, it's just the ratio of like running to puzzles is off. And I don't care about winning this. Basically, the ratio of puzzles to running around is just like way too much in favor of running around. And if fixing that ratio would make them feel like there was too many puzzles in the quest, then just make it shorter. But they're not going to go back and fix it now, and if you just follow the guide, it doesn't take that long following the critical path. This fight is a lot easier than I remember it being. I had to like bring brews and everything on my Iron Man. I didn't even bank. I'm assuming it's just because this time I have a tier 90 weapon, so I'm not splashing at all, which is making the fight way shorter. But this is just completely different to how it was the last time I tried this. And that is Sliske's endgame complete. Probably the least time efficient way to get 1 million runecrafting XP. But it's the kind of quest that you need to have a use for the XP reward to make it feel worth doing. So the fact that that gets us basically to 90 runecrafting is as good as a reward as I need. But that's 90 runecrafting, which gives us the massive pouch, and it would give us greater runic stuff, but we're way past the point of that being useful. And it gives us access to another Port's Adventurer. And we can now make rune pouches.
And that's where we're going to be wrapping things up this week. There were quite a few live clips this week compared to normal because honestly I've just been completely ravaged by hay fever the past week and a bit, so I've had to rely more on my live commentary. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed it. If you got to this part of the video, I'm going to assume you did, so you know what to do. And I hope to see you again next time when we pick up with that 90 runecrafting and make some huge gains.